My dear friend, I want you to know this truth. God is infinite. God is boundless. God is not limited by your past, your present, or even your imagination. When you pray, when you ask, when you affirm, you must remember you are communing with infinite intelligence. And the infinite never gives in small measures. What you ask for may be one thing, but what God releases is far greater, grander, more magnificent than anything your conscious mind could conceive. My beloved friend, when we speak of the infinite, we are speaking of that which knows no bounds, no limitations, no walls, and no restrictions. The infinite cannot be measured, for to measure would mean to place a boundary, and the infinite is boundless. When you pray and when you ask, you must realize that you are not dealing with a finite man or woman who can give you a little portion, a slice, or a part. You are communing with the inexhaustible source of all things, the eternal reservoir of wisdom, power, love, and abundance. The infinite knows no limits. And so, when you ask for bread, it does not merely give you a crust, it prepares a banquet. When you ask for a little healing, it does not simply mend one wound, it renews and revitalizes your entire being. The infinite always operates in wholeness, in completeness, in fullness, and therefore what you receive will always be larger, greater, more magnificent than what your finite reasoning mind could ever imagine. Think of a man who plants a single apple seed. He expects, perhaps, that in time it will grow into a cherry tree, but will yield apples. But he forgets that within that single seed lies not just one tree, not just a handful of apples, but generations of orchards. Within the seed is multiplication beyond his calculation. This is how God works. When you place a small prayer, a small seed of desire into the soil of your subconscious mind, God the Infinite does not merely return to you in kind, He multiplies it in ways beyond arithmetic, beyond reasoning, beyond any logical sequence. You ask for one good, but within that one good is a multiplication that stretches into your future, touching lives you do not even know, blessing generations you cannot even see. You may say, but Dr. Murphy, I only asked for a job, a position to take care of my needs. And I tell you, yes, you asked for employment, but God is not limited to giving you a paycheck. God releases dignity, purpose, joy, and expansion of your talents. He gives you friendships along the way, opportunities for growth, doors you did not knock on, connections you did not seek. You ask for one stream, but the infinite opens to you a fountainhead. For the infinite does not know smallness. The infinite cannot deal in fractions. God is wholeness itself, and so every answer is in wholeness, overflowing, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. The conscious mind tends to think in terms of shortage. It says, if I can only have this little, I will be satisfied. If I can only reach this point, I will be secure. But the subconscious mind, filled with the infinite presence, is like the ocean. You may take a thimble, you may take a cup, or you may take a barrel, but the ocean remains inexhaustible. The limitation is not in the ocean. The limitation is in your container. And so the wise man, the enlightened woman, prays not with a thimble, not with a cup, but with an open heart and an open soul, saying, Father, I receive the fullness of thy bounty. I know you are limitless. I know you are measureless. I know you are infinite. I remember a man who came to me many years ago. He said, Dr. Murphy, I want to pray for $50. If I can just get $50, I can make it through the week. I looked at him and said, why would you limit the infinite to $50? Why would you put a chain upon God's inexhaustible storehouse? Why not ask for supply, for prosperity, for abundance, for wealth in every form? For you do not pray for dollars, you pray for the consciousness of abundance. You pray for the realization that God is your unfailing source. The man shifted his thinking. He began to affirm that God was his instant and constant supply. In a short time, not only did he receive the money he needed, but opportunities for a new business opened to him. He discovered that he was not simply given a coin, but a treasure chest. God does not give you just enough to get by. He opens doors for you to walk in newness, growth, expansion, and joy. Now let us turn inward for a moment. Suppose you pray for health. Perhaps you have a pain in your body, and you say, God, remove this pain. You are asking for a crumb from the infinite table. But God does not merely remove the pain. God renews, restores, revitalizes. He floods your body with life, with harmony, with energy. You ask for the removal of a symptom, but God releases radiant health, vitality, and joy that permeates every cell, every organ, every function. This is the nature of the infinite. It cannot stop at half measures. It cannot deal in fragments. It always operates in fullness. This is why Jesus said, I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. Notice the word abundantly. Not sparsely, not partially, not grudgingly, abundantly. That is the law of the infinite. The abundance of the sea, the abundance of the stars, the abundance of the earth. Look at the night sky. Did God give you a few stars to look upon? No, he gave you billions, stretching beyond your eye, beyond your telescope, beyond your imagination. Look at the ocean waves, unceasing, pouring one after another, as if they will never stop, for they will not. Look at the grains of sand upon the shore, countless, innumerable. This is the signature. This is the handwriting of the infinite. Always too much, always more than enough, always overflowing. My friend, when you limit God in your thinking, you are like a child standing before Niagara Falls with a teaspoon saying, if I can only have this little water, I will be satisfied. Yet behind you, before you, around you, is an endless torrent. God is Niagara Falls. God is the ocean. God is the sky. God is the measureless abundance. And all that he asks of you is that you open your consciousness wide enough to receive. You must break the walls of your small asking, your little expectations, and allow the infinite to release something far beyond your desire. So I tell you again, the infinite knows no limits. You ask for one good, but God gives you a banquet. You ask for a fragment, but God gives you the whole loaf. You ask for a candle, but God gives you the whole loaf. You ask for a candle, but God gives you the sun. This is the way of the infinite. This is the law of life. And when you know this, when you truly know this, you stop asking small prayers, and you begin affirming the boundless. You say within yourself, God's wealth is mine now. God's peace is mine now. God's health is mine now. God's joy is mine now. God's infinite blessings are mine now. You do not beg. You do not plead. You affirm. You accept. You give thanks. And you allow the infinite to release into your life something bigger, something greater, something beyond measure. And so, beloved, know today that what you have asked for is at the beginning. God has heard you. God has answered you. And the answer will not be small, for God cannot be small. The answer will not be limited, for God cannot be limited. The answer will be larger, richer, grander, more glorious than anything your conscious reasoning mind dared to outline. Trust in that, give thanks for that, and walk in the light of that truth. When you offer a prayer, when you affirm a truth, when you set your intention toward the infinite, you are planting a seed in the soil of your subconscious mind. Every desire, every longing, every thought, impressed with faith, is nothing less than a seed that carries within it the fullness of what it shall become. A seed looks small, it looks fragile, it seems almost insignificant in your hand. Yet within that tiny seed lies the blueprint of a towering oak, the vision of a forest, the fruit for generations yet unborn. So it is with your prayer. You may utter a few words, you may whisper a simple affirmation, but within that seed thought lies the entire harvest of God's infinite supply.
When a farmer plants wheat, he does not expect only one grain to rise from the soil. He knows by natural law that each seed produces a stalk, and upon that stalk are heads filled with dozens of grains. One seed multiplies into hundreds. This is the law of multiplication, the law of increase, the law of God's abundance. Your subconscious is the soil, and your prayer, your belief, your affirmation is the seed. The moment you plant it, the infinite goes to work, the unseen activity begins, and the harvest is on its way.
You may say, but I only ask for a little peace, a little strength, a little joy. Yet God does not deal in littleness. You plant one seed of peace, and the infinite multiplies it into harmony in your body, calmness in your mind, order in your affairs. You plant one seed of joy, and God sends laughter, lightness, opportunities, and radiant health. You ask for a drop, but the infinite returns a stream. You ask for one flower, but the infinite returns a garden. I recall speaking with a woman who came to me weary and troubled. She said, Dr. Murphy, I only want a small home where I can rest. I am so tired. If I can only have a little cottage, I will be content. I said to her, my dear, why do you confine the infinite to a cottage? Why do you ask the ocean for a cupful? You are a child of the infinite, and your prayer is a seed that will not return empty. Affirm that God provides you with beauty, peace, harmony, and abundance. Do not limit the form. Do not restrict the shape. Plant the seed of security and peace in your mind, and God will return not merely a cottage, but an environment of joy and abundance in every way. She began to pray differently, no longer asking for a fragment, but affirming wholeness. Within a year, she was not only in a lovely home, but she found companionship, renewed health, and creative expression. She asked for a small house, but God gave her a new life. Such is the law of the seed. Consider this. No farmer plants a seed today and digs it up tomorrow, wondering if it has sprouted. He knows the soil is faithful. He knows the law is sure. He knows that if he plants in faith, nourishes with expectation, and waits in patience, the harvest must come. In the same way, when you plant a prayer in your subconscious, you must not uproot it with doubt, with fear, with anxious questioning. You must not say, why has it not come? Where is my answer? Has God forgotten? No, you must rest in the quiet assurance that the seed is working in the unseen, that infinite intelligence is arranging the conditions, that divine law is operating without fail. When you pray for health, you have planted the seed of vitality. Do not keep looking at your body, searching for instant change, and then grow discouraged. That is like digging up the seed to see if it has sprouted. Rather, nurture your prayer with gratitude, with confidence, with thanksgiving. Say, I know the healing power of God is at work in me now. I rejoice in my wholeness. And soon the seed breaks through, the harvest appears, and health blossoms in your life. The subconscious mind, my friend, does not argue, does not reason, does not analyze. It accepts what you plant, just as the soil accepts the seed. If you plant thorns, it yields thorns. If you plant corn, it yields corn. If you plant thoughts of fear, limitation, and lack, your subconscious faithfully produces after their time. But if you plant seeds of faith, love, joy, and abundance, your subconscious produces a harvest of blessings, multiplied and overflowing. Let me tell you of a man who came to me burdened with debt. He said, Dr. Murphy, I have bills I cannot pay. I pray, but nothing happens. I asked him, what is your prayer? He replied, I keep saying, I don't want these debts. I don't want this burden. I don't want this struggle. And I said to him, you are planting weeds, my friend. You are planting the seed of debt over and over again. And the soil of your subconscious is producing after its kind. You are giving life to the very thing you despise. Instead, plant the seed of abundance. Affirm God is my instant and constant supply. I am divinely prospered in all ways. Wealth flows to me in avalanches of abundance. Plant the seed and water it with faith. He took this advice, and in a short time, new opportunities for income opened to him. Unexpected avenues of prosperity appeared. and his debts dissolved. He had been planting thorns, but once he planted wheat, the harvest came in. So I say to you, your prayer is never lost. Your affirmation is never wasted. Every word charged with faith, every thought clothed in belief, is a seed in the soil of the infinite. It may appear small, it may appear insignificant, but within it lies the fullness of what you desire multiplied beyond measure. You cannot imagine the magnitude of a single seed. You cannot calculate the harvest of one sincere prayer, for the infinite takes the little and makes it much, takes the fragment and makes it whole, takes the seed and produces the orchard. When you go into prayer, therefore, go with reverence. Know that you are holding a seed of destiny in your mind. Do not waste it on idle words, on negative affirmations, on fear. Choose carefully, plan deliberately, affirm lovingly. Say, God's love fills me. God's peace guides me. God's abundance flows through me. God's wisdom directs me. Plant these seeds daily, and you will look back and wonder at the harvest that has appeared in your life. The harvest may not come in the exact way you outlined, just as a seed may sprout differently than you imagined, but it always comes according to the law of growth. And when it comes, it is more than you asked, greater than you thought, richer than you dreamed. So lift up your thought, lift up your expectation, know that your prayer is a seed, that your desire is a seed, that your faith is a seed, and that the infinite has already taken it into the soil of creation. Rest in confidence, rejoice in gratitude, and soon you shall see the field ripe with blessings, the orchard heavy with fruit, the harvest abundant and overflowing. The nature of life itself is growth, expansion, and increase. This is the law of the infinite. Look all around you, and you will see this great truth inscribed on every blade of grass, every leaf, every star, every cell of your body. Life does not move backward, it moves forward. Life does not shrink, it unfolds. Life does not diminish, it multiplies. The infinite, which is God within you, is forever seeking to express more beauty, more love, more abundance, more wisdom, more power through you. When you ask in prayer, when you affirm with faith, the answer that comes is always expanded, always multiplied, always greater than your original request, because the very law of being is the law of expansion. Think of a tiny acorn. It does not remain an acorn. Its destiny is not to sit in the palm of your hand as a small seed. Within that acorn is a mighty oak tree, and within that oak tree are thousands upon thousands of acorns yet to be, and within those acorns are forests for generations yet unborn. This is the law of expansion. The acorn cannot remain what it is. It must unfold. It must grow. It must increase. So it is with your prayers. You may ask for one thing, you may plant one seed of desire, but the infinite does not return to you one isolated answer. The infinite expands your seed into a tree of blessings, multiplied and magnified beyond your thought. The conscious mind often tries to measure, to confine, to outline. It says, if I can come have this little, I will be content. If I will be content. If I can only solve this one problem, I will be at peace. But the infinite is not bound by your outline. The subconscious mind, filled with the power of God, does not deliver a mere fragment. It delivers an overflowing measure. You ask for a cup of water and the infinite releases a river. You ask for light from a candle and the infinite brings you the sun. The law of expansion cannot give you less. It must always give you more. I recall a man who came to me many years ago, discouraged and defeated. He said, Dr. Murphy, all I want is enough to pay my rent and buy some food. If I can just get by, I will be satisfied. I said to him, my friend, you are confining the infinite to the measure of your rent. You are chaining the ocean to a thimble. Why do you ask for survival when the law of your being is abundance? Why do you confine God to a morsel when he offers you a feast? I encouraged him to change his prayer. Instead of asking for bare survival, I told him to affirm, I am one with the infinite riches of my subconscious mind. I am prospered, guided, and supplied in all ways. God's abundance flows to me freely and joyously. He took this new affirmation into his heart. Within a short time, not only was his rent paid and his food supplied, but he found new work that used his talents, brought him joy, and multiplied his resources. He asked for survival, but God gave him expansion. This is the law. Look at the universe itself. The astronomers tell us that the cosmos is expanding outward in every direction. The galaxies are moving farther and farther apart, and new worlds are being born constantly. The infinite cannot contract. It can only expand. If this is true of the universe of stars, it is true of the universe within you. Your life is meant to expand. Your love is meant to grow. Your wisdom is meant to increase. Your good is meant to multiply. Every prayer you make is caught up in this law of expansion. You cannot ask for something small and have it remain small, because God enlarges it, magnifies it, and multiplies it in ways beyond your imagination. Perhaps you pray for healing in one part of your body. You may think the infinite will only correct that one condition, but the law of expansion does not stop there. The moment divine life flows into you, it renews every cell, restores every organ, revitalizes every function. You ask for a little relief, but God gives you total renewal. You ask for one corner of health, but God gives you radiant vitality in every fiber of your being. This is the overflowing nature of the infinite, always giving more than you ask, because expansion is the law of life. The same truth applies to love. A lonely soul may say, God, send me one friend, someone to walk with me in this journey. But God does not deal in fragments. He answers with companionship, fellowship, harmony in relationships, and love in unexpected places. He multiplies that one desire into a circle of joy and communion that blesses every aspect of life. The prayer was for one friend, but the answer was expansion into a life filled with love. Do you not see, my friend, that your imagination is always too small for the infinite? You cannot confine God to your outline. You cannot measure the infinite with your little ruler. The law of expansion always gives you more. Therefore pray not as one who begs for a crumb, but as one who accepts the banquet. Pray not as one who fears lack, but as one who knows abundance is the very nature of life. Say within yourself, the law of expansion is at work in me now. My life is enlarging. My blessings are multiplying. My good is increasing beyond measure. I am one with the infinite, and the infinite is always more. I think of the lilies of the field. They do not strive, they do not struggle. Yet they grow, they blossom, they radiate beauty. The law of expansion is in them, and it is in you. The same intelligence that pushes the seedling through the soil, that unfolds the rose in perfect symmetry, that multiplies the harvest in the field, is the intelligence that answers your prayer. And it never answers with less, it always answers with more. So lift your vision, enlarge your expectation, expand your asking. Do not pray for survival when you are meant for abundance. Do not pray for fragments when you are meant for wholeness. Do not pray for shadows when you are meant for the sun. Trust the law of expansion, for it is written into the fabric of your soul, into the very structure of the universe. It is God's own nature, and it cannot fail. Therefore I say to you now, whatever seed you plant, whatever prayer you utter, know that it will not return empty. It will return multiplied, expanded, enlarged, magnified by the infinite. You will reap more than you sow. You will receive more than you ask. You will be blessed beyond your imagining. Rest in this truth, rejoice in this law, and give thanks now that the infinite is expanding your life in ways glorious, wondrous, and beyond all comprehension. When you pray with faith, you remove the boundaries. You dissolve the walls. You tear down the fences that you yourself have built in your own mind. For faith is the key that opens the door to the infinite. And without it, the door remains closed. Not because God has locked it, but because you have. The infinite is always giving, always flowing, always pouring itself forth. The problem is never with the giver. The problem is always with the receiver. Fear, doubt, and unbelief erect barriers in the mind. They build up walls of I cannot, and it is impossible. But faith sweeps those walls away and allows the limitless bounty of God to pour forth without obstruction. Think of the sun shining in the heavens. It pours out light and warmth freely and without discrimination. It shines upon the good and the evil, the rich and the poor, the just and the unjust. But what if a man shuts himself up in a cellar and says, "The sun has forgotten me. He dwells in darkness," not because the sun is unwilling to shine, but because he has cut himself off from its ways. So it is with God. His abundance, His love, His healing power, His wisdom, His peace are always flowing, always available, always present. If you are not experiencing them, it is because you have shut yourself away through doubt, fear, and limitation. The moment you step into faith, the moment you open the window of your mind, the light pours in, the warmth fills you, and the blessing flows freely. Faith is the removal of boundaries. Doubt is always saying, "I cannot, it is too much, it is beyond me, it is beyond me, it is beyond possible." But faith says all things are possible to him that believeth. Doubt looks at the mountain and says it cannot be moved. Faith says, "If you say unto this mountain, be thou removed, and believe in your heart, it shall be done." Doubt builds walls. Faith removes them. Doubt imprisons. Faith liberates. Doubt limits the infinite. Faith releases the infinite. I remember a man who came to me tormented with illness. He had been told by doctors that his condition was incurable. He said, "Dr. Murphy, I want to believe, but I cannot. I feel bound by the words they've spoken over me." I said to him, "My dear man, the words of men are not the final authority. The diagnosis of doctors may describe a condition, but it cannot describe the infinite power within you. God created you. God is life. God is health. Faith in this truth will dissolve every limitation." He began to affirm daily, "God's healing power is flowing through me now. I am whole. I am strong. I am perfect health." At first he whispered it with trembling, but day by day, as he repeated these truths, faith began to grow. The boundary of doubt weakened, the wall of fear crumbled, and soon the healing power of God manifested in his body. The doctors who had said incurable now marveled, for the man was restored to full health. Faith had removed the boundaries, and the infinite poured forth. You see, my friend, the subconscious mind accepts what you impress upon it. If you impress fear, it will manifest fear. If you impress faith, it will manifest faith. The soil does not care whether you plant thorns or roses. It yields whatever you sow. Likewise, your subconscious does not question, it accepts. So plant seeds of faith, seeds of confidence, seeds of divine assurance. Say within yourself, "I can do all things through the God power that strengthens me. The infinite is within me. I am guided, healed, prospered, and blessed." The more you affirm this, the more you believe it, the more the walls of limitation dissolve, and the infinite begins to manifest in ways you could not imagine. Look at a river flowing down from the mountain. If you build a dam across it, the water will be blocked. It will stagnate. It will pool up behind the barrier. But if you remove the dam, the river flows freely, carrying freshness, life, and abundance to everything it touches. Your fear and unbelief are like dams in your mind. They block the river of God's blessings. Faith is the act of removing the dam, of letting the river flow. And when it flows, it brings more than you asked for, because God's river is never a trickle. It is always an overflowing stream. Faith does not say, "Perhaps God will answer." Faith knows the answer is already given. Faith does not say, "I hope it will happen someday." Faith says, "It is happening now. The infinite is at work in me now. I accept it now." Faith does not look to the future with anxiety. It rests in the present with assurance. For faith knows that God is always now, and God's power is always here. Consider the words of Jesus. According to your faith, be it unto you. Notice, he did not say, according to God's willingness. He said, according to your faith. The infinite is always willing, always giving. The measure is not in God, it is in you. If you ask little, you receive little. If you ask much, you receive much. If you ask with doubt, you close the door. If you ask with faith, you open the floodgates. The boundaries are in your mind, and faith is the remover of those boundaries. A woman once came to me in despair. She said, Dr. Murphy, I pray every day, but nothing happens. My life is still filled with struggle. I asked her, when you pray, do you truly believe? She replied, I hope so. I wish it were true. I want it to be. I said, my dear, that is not faith. That is doubt, dressed in the clothing of prayer. Faith is knowing. Faith is the inner conviction that it is already so. When you pray, do not say, I hope, say, I know. Do not say, I want. Say, I accept. Do not say, it may come. Say, it is mine now. She began to change her approach. She began to pray with certainty, to affirm with conviction, to give thanks in advance. Soon her circumstances shifted, her struggles dissolved, and she experienced the abundance she had long desired. The difference was faith. So I say to you, remove the boundaries. Do not limit God in your thinking. Do not place fences around the infinite. Stop saying, I cannot. It is too much. It is beyond me. Instead say, all things are possible with God. The infinite is working through me now. I am open, receptive, and ready to receive. Let your faith be strong, and you will see the walls crumble, the dams fall, and the blessings pour forth. Faith is not struggle, it is rest. Faith is not striving, it is trust. Faith is not forcing, it is allowing. When you believe, truly believe, you relax, you rest in the assurance that God has heard, that God has answered, that the infinite is at work. You no longer beg, you no longer plead, you no longer anxiously search. You simply accept, and the acceptance opens the door wide. Therefore, my beloved, remember this truth. Faith removes all boundaries. Doubt builds the walls. Fear closes the doors. Unbelief shuts the window. But faith swings them wide open. Faith says, the infinite is mine now. I receive now. I give thanks now. And the moment you say it with conviction, the infinite rushes in with blessing beyond measure. The subconscious mind is like fertile soil, and it never fails to return what you plant within it. It is the great womb of creation, the silent builder, the unseen intelligence that shapes your outer world according to the seeds you deposit within. You may not see the process, you may not hear it working, but it is always at work, night and day, ceaselessly bringing into form the thoughts you impress upon it. Plant a thought of health, and the subconscious, moved upon by the infinite, releases radiant vitality. Plant a thought of prosperity, and the subconscious opens the door to avenues of supply, opportunities, and abundance that far exceed the little figure you had in mind. Plant a thought of peace, and your subconscious multiplies it into harmony, order, and serenity in your affairs. Consider the law of the seed. If you plant corn, you do not reap wheat. If you plant roses, you do not reap thorns. Whatever you sow, you reap. And not only do you reap in kind, but you reap in multiplication. One seed of corn yields a stalk, and that stalk bears ears filled with many kernels. One rose seed brings forth not a single petal, but a bush that can bloom again and again. So it is with the subconscious mind. It magnifies what you give it. It multiplies your thought seeds. If you plant fear, it gives you more things to fear. If you plant faith, it gives you more reasons to rejoice. The subconscious always multiplies what you put within it. I recall a man who came to me, weary and worried about his business. He said, Dr. Murphy, every day I think about failure. I see my business collapsing. I imagine the creditors calling, and I feel helpless. I told him, my dear friend, you are planting weeds in the soil of your subconscious. Every fearful thought is a seed, and the soil never argues with you. It accepts the seed and brings forth a harvest after its kind. You cannot expect abundance while you are planting seeds of ruin. You must reverse the process. Plant thoughts of success, prosperity, and growth, and your subconscious will multiply them. He began to change his thinking. Each morning, instead of imagining failure, he affirmed, "Infinite intelligence guides my business. I am prospered beyond measure. Success flows to me in countless ways." Day after day, he impressed this truth upon his subconscious. And soon, new clients came, unexpected opportunities opened, and his business flourished. The subconscious multiplied his new thought seeds into a harvest of prosperity. You see, the subconscious is impartial. It is like a mirror. It reflects what you show it. It is like the soil. It yields what you plant in it. It does not choose between good and evil, health and sickness, abundance and lack. It simply accepts what you impress and multiplies it. If you impress lack, you will experience more lack. If you impress abundance, you will experience more abundance. This is why it is so vital to guard your thoughts, to choose carefully the seed you plant. For every thought is a prayer, every belief is a seed, every affirmation is a blueprint for your subconscious to build into reality. Let me tell you of a woman who lived in constant worry about her health. She would say, "Every winter I catch the flu. I know I will be sick again this year." She was planting seeds of sickness, and her subconscious, faithful and impartial, produced the very conditions she expected. When she came to me, I said, "Why do you command your subconscious to make you ill? Why do you sow seeds of disease when you long for health? Reverse your thoughts, and the harvest will be reversed. Affirm health, and health will multiply." She took this to heart. Each day she began to say, "God's life fills me. Every cell of my body radiates health and vitality. I am strong, whole, and free." As she impressed this upon her subconscious, she found her health improving. The winter passed without illness for the first time in years. She had planted health, and the subconscious multiplied it into radiant well-being. This is why Jesus said, "Unto him that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance." It is a spiritual law. If you plant abundance in your mind, you are given more abundance. If you plant joy, more joy comes. But if you plant lack, even what little you have seems to be taken away, because the subconscious magnifies the seed of lack and manifests it in your life. Therefore, my friend, be deliberate in your sowing. Do not scatter seeds of fear, resentment, worry, and limitation, and then wonder why your harvest is bitter. Choose to sow faith, love, confidence, abundance, and joy. Fill your subconscious with images of health, prosperity, and success. Say to yourself lovingly, affirm the truth of your divine nature, and watch as the subconscious multiplies these seeds into a harvest greater than you imagine. Think for a moment about the farmer. He does not go out into his field and curse the soil, saying, "Why did you give me weeds?" He knows that whatever grew is only the result of what was sown, whether by him or by neglect. So it is with you. Your subconscious does not curse you, does not withhold, does not discriminate. It simply yields to you the multiplied harvest of what you have consciously or unconsciously sown. If you do not like your harvest, change your seeds, change your thoughts, and your world will change. One man came to me saying, "Dr. Murphy, I pray, but nothing happens." I asked him, "What do you pray?" He replied, "I keep saying I do not want to be poor. I do not want to be sick. I do not want to be alone." I said, "My dear man, you are planting seeds of poverty, sickness, and loneliness every time you say those words. The subconscious mind does not register the word not. It takes the idea you dwell upon and multiplies it. When you say, 'I do not want poverty,' your subconscious hears poverty and multiplies it. Instead, affirm what you desire, not what you fear. Say, God's abundance is mine now. God's help is mine now. God's companionship is mine now." He changed his prayer, and soon his life began to reflect the new seeds. Prosperity flowed in, his health improved, and he found fulfilling relationships. So remember always, your subconscious multiplies what you plant. If you give it fragments, it gives you fragments multiplied. If you give it fullness, it gives you wholeness multiplied. If you give it faith, it gives you miracles multiplied. You are never at the mercy of circumstances. You're always at the mercy of your own thought seeds. Plant wisely, plant lovingly, plant faithfully, and your subconscious will yield a harvest of blessings beyond measure. My beloved friend, take this truth deep within you. The subconscious mind is your unfailing servant, the fertile soil of your soul. It multiplies what you plant without judgment, without hesitation, without fail. Therefore, guard your garden. Sow seeds of truth, health, love, and prosperity, and you will reap abundance, joy, and radiant life in overflowing measure. When you pray, when you affirm, when you speak your word to the infinite, you must realize that God answers in his way, not yours. This is one of the great truths that brings peace to the soul once it is understood. For so often men and women outline the manner in which their prayers must be answered. They say, it must come through this person, through this channel, in this exact way. And when it does not arrive in the form they expected, they believe their prayer has gone unanswered. But the infinite is never limited to your little outline. God the All-Wise knows the perfect way, the right channel, the exact form that will bless you, uplift you, and enlarge your life. Therefore, while your prayer is always answered, it may not be answered in the way you imagine. It is answered in God's way, which is always higher, greater, and more wonderful than your own. Think of a child who asks his father for a toy made of glass. The child does not realize that the glass toy would break and harm him. The father, in his love and wisdom, gives the child something far better, something safe, lasting, and joyous. The child may pout at first, saying, but that is not what I asked for. Yet, as he plays with the new gift, he realizes the wisdom of his father. So it is with you and God. You may ask for a particular thing, a certain form, but God in his infinite wisdom answers with something greater, something safer, something that blesses you more abundantly. The conscious mind may not understand at first, but in time you see the perfection of the divine answer. I recall a man who prayed for a certain promotion at work. He wanted that exact position, that specific title. He said, Dr. Murphy, if I can only get this promotion, I will be happy. He prayed and affirmed, but the promotion went to another. He was disheartened. He came to me saying, my prayer has failed. I told him, my dear friend, your prayer has not failed. God is answering you, but not in the way you outlined. Trust the wisdom of the infinite. A few months later, this man was offered a position in another company far higher than the one he had prayed for, with greater pay, greater freedom, and greater joy. He came back to me saying, now I understand. I was asking for a candle, but God gave me the sun. You see, the conscious mind is limited. It sees only a fragment of the whole picture. It looks at today's circumstances, today's conditions, today's people, and it outlines its prayer accordingly. But God sees the entire panorama of your life. He sees tomorrow, he sees next year, he sees opportunities that you do not yet imagine. Therefore, his answer often comes in ways that surprise you, ways that at first may even puzzle you, but ways that ultimately bless you far beyond your asking. When you pray, do not dictate to God. Do not say, it must come through this man, this woman, this company, this channel. That is like telling the sun it must shine only through one window. The sun shines in countless ways, and God's answers flow through endless channels. Instead, when you pray, say, this is my desire, this is my seed, and I release it to the infinite wisdom. Let it come to me in God's perfect way, at God's perfect time, in God's perfect form. That kind of prayer never fails, because it leaves the outcome to infinite intelligence, which knows more than you and sees farther than you. A woman once prayed for a certain man to be her husband. He was convinced he was the right one. She affirmed, she visualized, she held to the picture. But the man married another, and she was heartbroken. She said to me, God has denied me. I told her, my dear, God never denies you love, but perhaps your prayer was too narrow. Instead of insisting on one person, pray for companionship, pray for harmony, pray for the right mate ordained by God. Then the Infinite will answer in His way. She followed this counsel, and soon she met another man whose love, kindness, and devotion far exceeded what she had imagined. Years later, she told me, I thank God my first prayer was not answered in my way. I would have settled for far less. God gave me more than I dreamed. So it is in all things. God does not always answer in the channel you expect, but He always answers in the way that is best. If one door closes, do not despair, for another will open, and it may lead to a palace instead of a cottage. If one opportunity slips away, do not mourn, for a greater one is on its way, prepared by the Infinite. The subconscious mind, directed by infinite intelligence, arranges the circumstances, moves the people, and guides the events in ways beyond your conscious planning. When you pray, release the outcome. Do not cling, do not strain, do not outline. Simply state your desire with faith and thanksgiving, and then let go. Say within yourself, God is answering me now in His perfect way. I trust the infinite wisdom. I know the answer is mine now, though I may not yet see it. This attitude of trust opens the door wide. It removes the tightness, the anxiety, the impatience that block the flow. It allows the infinite to work freely, creatively, abundantly, and the result will astonish you with its beauty. Imagine you are sending a letter. You write the request, you address the envelope, and you place it in the post. Once it is mailed, you do not worry each moment, asking, will it arrive? Will it be delivered? Should I chase after the postman? No, you trust the postal system to do its work. Likewise, when you send your prayer into the infinite, trust God to do His work. Do not keep opening the envelope, checking, doubting, and interfering. Release it. Let God answer in His way, and the result will be sure, certain, and abundant. Remember, my friend, that the infinite cannot be confined to your narrow plans. If you insist that your prayer must be answered in one small way, you are shutting out the countless greater ways in which it could come. Do not limit the unlimited. Do not dictate to the infinite. Trust, release, and accept. Say, this or something better is now manifesting for me. I rest in the wisdom of God, and soon you will see that what has come to you is far greater, more beautiful, and more perfect than anything you outline. So hold fast to this truth. God always answers in His way, not yours. And His way is always the greater way, the higher way, the better way. Though you may not understand it at first, though you may think the answer has failed, in time you will see the wisdom and the glory of the divine plan. You will look back and say, truly, God has given me not what I asked in my little outline, but what I truly needed, what truly blessed me, what truly enlarged my life. And you will rejoice that His ways are higher than your ways, His thoughts higher than your thoughts, and His answers greater than your dreams. Your imagination is a divine faculty, a bridge between the seen and the unseen. It is the workshop of God in you, the tool by which you shape the images that your subconscious accepts and multiplies. Yet however vast your imagination may seem, however high you may dream, however far you may stretch your thought, remember this, your imagination is still small compared to the infinity of God. You may imagine a stream, but God gives you a river. You may picture a lamp, but God floods your life with the light of the sun. You may ask for a morsel, but God lays before you a banquet. What you hold in your imagination is a seed, but what God releases in response is the full-grown harvest, multiplied, expanded, and overflowing. The human mind often sets limits on itself. It thinks in terms of the immediate, the visible, the logical sequence. It says, if only I could make a little more money, then I would be satisfied. Or if only my health could improve a little, then I could endure. Or if only one person could love me, then I would be happy. These are the streams, the lamps, the morsels of imagination. They are not wrong, but they are small compared to the infinite wealth of God. God does not want you to merely survive. He wants you to thrive. He does not want you to scrape by. He wants you to overflow. He does not want you to walk in dim light. He wants you to shine in the brilliance of his sun. Think of the farmer again. He plants a handful of seed. Perhaps he imagines one stalk, one little ear of corn. But nature, which is God's law in action, does not return 1 ear for 1 seed. It returns 30-fold, 60-fold, 100-fold. This is the law of multiplication, the law of abundance, so it is with your imagination. You picture one blessing, but God multiplies it into many. You hold one thought of success, and God expands it into opportunities beyond your awareness. You visualize one door opening, and God opens 10, each leading to a higher place. I remember a man who prayed simply for enough money to pay his rent. His imagination was fixed on survival. He affirmed, "If I can just pay the rent this month, I will be grateful." He repeated this over and over, but he felt no joy, no expansion, no expectation of something greater. I told him, "My dear friend, you are limiting the infinite. You are asking for crumbs when a feast is prepared for you. Why not affirm, God's riches are mine now. I am prospered beyond measure. Infinite abundance flows to me freely, joyously, endlessly. Do not limit God to 1 bill or 1 month. Let your imagination expand to embrace the boundless good that is already yours." He took this counsel to heart. He began to visualize not just the rent paid, but his whole life abundant, free, prosperous, joyous. Soon, new streams of income opened. Unexpected gifts came, and he was not only able to pay his rent, but to live in comfort and generosity. He saw that God had not been withholding. He had been limiting by his small imagination. My friend, you must understand this. Your imagination is powerful, but it is still finite. God is infinite. What you imagine as the greatest good for your life is still a fragment of what God has already prepared for you. The scripture says, "Eye hath not seen nor ear heard, neither hath it entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him." This means that even your highest dream, your loftiest vision, your boldest prayer is still small compared to the infinite storehouse of God's blessings. That is why you must always leave room for the divine to expand your vision. Say this or something better, according to God's perfect plan. That way you are not confined to your own imagination. You are open to the infinite imagination of God. Think of a little child who imagines a small box of crayons as the greatest gift. He does not know that his father can give him an entire studio of colors, paints, and canvases. He asks small because his vision is small. But the Father delights in giving more. So it is with your Heavenly Father. You may ask for a candle, but He gives you the sun. You may ask for a cup, but He pours out an ocean. You may ask for a job, but He gives you a vocation that fills your life with joy, service, and abundance. I recall a woman who prayed for healing of one small ailment. She said, "If I can only get rid of this pain, I will be content." But as she prayed and affirmed the life of God within her, she found not only that pain dissolving, but her whole body renewed. She had more energy than she had known in years. Her mind grew clear. Her spirit grew joyful. She came to me saying, "I asked for the removal of one shadow, and God flooded me with light. I asked for one step of health, and God lifted me into a new life." This is the nature of the infinite. It always gives more than you ask, because it cannot give less than itself. And God is fullness, abundance, perfection, overflowing good. So, my beloved friend, never limit your prayer to the little picture you hold in your mind. Use your imagination as best you can. Yes, but then remember that God's imagination is infinite. You may see only one way, but God has 1,000 ways. You may think only of today's need, but God is planning for your tomorrow, your next year, your entire destiny. You may outline a trickle, but God is releasing a flood.
This is why it is so important to trust and to let go. After you have prayed, after you have visualized, after you have affirmed, release it to God with this simple thought: Infinite Spirit, You know the way. I accept not only what I have imagined, but what you, in your wisdom, have prepared for me. This attitude opens you to the greater blessing. It lifts you beyond your small stream into the river of divine supply. It lifts you beyond your candle into the sunlight of God's love. It lifts you beyond your morsel into the banquet of life.
Think of it this way. The little cup cannot contain the ocean, yet the ocean is willing to pour itself into the cup. When you enlarge your cup, when you enlarge your expectation, your imagination, your faith, you receive more of what God has always been pouring forth. God does not limit the flow. You limit the receiving. When you expand your vision, you expand your capacity to receive. And when you release your small picture and say, God, I accept your larger picture, you are lifted into realms of blessing that astonish you. So hold fast to this truth, my dear friend. Your imagination, as grand as it may seem, is still too small for the infinity of God. But that is not cause for discouragement. It is cause for rejoicing. For it means that no matter how much you ask, no matter how much you dream, God is always ready to exceed it, enlarge it, multiply it. He is always releasing something bigger than what you imagine. Therefore pray boldly, imagine greatly, but always leave room for the infinite. Say, Father, this or something greater. And then watch with wonder as the infinite surprises you with blessings beyond your thought, beyond your vision, beyond your dream. Many people struggle in their minds when the answer to prayer does not appear at once. They say, why is this delayed? Why has nothing happened? They look at the clock, they count the days, they measure the weeks, and they allow impatience to rob them of their peace. But you must understand this eternal truth. Divine timing is always perfect. There are no delays in God. There is no withholding, no denial, no postponement in the infinite. What you call a delay is often a process of multiplication, a preparation of circumstances, a silent arranging of conditions, so that when the blessing arrives, it comes full, complete, and overflowing. Think of the farmer who plants seed in the ground. He does not dig it up each morning to see if it has sprouted. He knows that beneath the surface an invisible work is taking place. The seed is breaking open. Roots are going down. Shoots are rising up. Though nothing appears above the soil for a time, he trusts the law of growth. He waters, he waits, and in due season the harvest comes. So it is with your prayer. When you affirm, when you visualize, when you plant the seed of desire in the soil of your subconscious, a silent process begins. You may not see it. You may think nothing is happening. But beneath the surface of your awareness, infinite intelligence is arranging, unfolding, multiplying, and bringing your desire to manifestation. I recall a woman who prayed fervently for employment. She came to me distressed, saying, I have prayed and affirmed, yet nothing has happened. It has been weeks. I said to her, do not dig up your seed with doubt. Do not measure God's answer by your calendar. Trust that something is happening now, though you cannot yet see it. She quieted her mind. She gave thanks in advance, and she rested in faith. Shortly thereafter, she was offered a position far better than any she had applied for, one that suited her talents perfectly. She realized that the so-called delay was only God arranging a greater opportunity than she had imagined. What you call waiting time is never wasted time. It is gestation time. Just as the child is formed in the mother's womb, just as the rose unfolds in the bud, so your answered prayer unfolds in the silence before it appears in form. If you were to demand the rose to bloom before its time, you would destroy it. If you were to pull the child from the womb too soon, it would not survive. So too with your desires. They must ripen. They must mature. They must unfold in the divine sequence. When the time is right, when the soil is rich, when the conditions are aligned, the manifestation bursts forth effortlessly. Therefore, my friend, learn to trust divine timing, saying within yourself, God's answer is mine now. In the unseen, it will appear in perfect order, at the perfect time, in the perfect way. Refuse to be anxious. Refuse to be impatient. Refuse to measure by appearances. Know that what seems like a delay is a divine preparation for something greater. Many times the blessing is being multiplied while you wait. You ask for one, but God is preparing to give you 10. You ask for a door, but God is building you a palace. I once knew a man who prayed for healing from a certain ailment. He expected instant relief. When it did not come immediately, he grew discouraged. But he persevered in faith, affirming daily, "The healing presence of God flows through me now. Every cell of my body responds to the light of the infinite." Over weeks and months, his health improved steadily, until not only was the ailment gone, but his entire body was renewed. He said, "I see now that God was not delaying. He was rebuilding me, restoring me, renewing me from the inside out. The process was greater than I had asked." You see, the infinite is not in haste. God is eternal. He does not measure by your clock or your calendar. He measures by the fullness of blessing. If what you desire is not yet visible, rejoice, for it means the harvest is still ripening. Give thanks, for it means your subconscious is still at work. Trust, for it means the divine is still multiplying, arranging, perfecting the answer. The so-called waiting is not a denial, but a preparation for abundance. When impatience comes, remind yourself, the oak tree takes years to grow strong, yet within the acorn it was always present. The answer to your prayer is already within the seed. It is growing now, invisibly, silently, unfailingly. Divine timing ensures that it will appear at the moment when it can bless you most. If it came too soon, it might not be appreciated, it might not be sustained, it might even be harmful. But when it comes in God's time, it comes in fullness and it lasts. So instead of worrying, give thanks in advance. Each day say, "Thank you, Father, that my prayer is answered. Now, though I do not yet see it, I know it is mine. I rest in your perfect timing." Gratitude accelerates the process, for it aligns your mind with the unseen reality. Impatience slows it down, for it introduces doubt and fear. Choose gratitude. Choose trust. Choose peace. Then the answer comes with ease, with grace, with perfection. Think also of this. While you wait, you are being prepared. Perhaps God is strengthening your faith, enlarging your vision, refining your character, so that when the blessing arrives, you can hold it, enjoy it, and use it rightly. Many people ask for great things, but are not yet ready to receive them. The waiting is God's gift of preparation. It is not punishment. It is provision. Therefore, rest assured, there are no delays in God. There are only perfect unfoldings. There are no denials in spirit. There are only multiplied blessings being prepared for their perfect arrival. When you learn this, you will no longer fret when appearances seem unchanged. You will smile knowing that beneath the surface, the infinite is at work. You will rest knowing that the answer is ripening. You will rejoice knowing that when it comes, it will come, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. So hold this truth deep within. Divine timing is perfect. What seems delayed is only being multiplied. What seems withheld is only being prepared. What seems absent is already present in the unseen. Trust the process, give thanks in advance, and rest in peace. And soon you will find that the answer bursts forth in beauty, in abundance, in perfection, greater than what you asked, greater than what you imagined, greater than what you dreamed. My beloved friend, gratitude is one of the most powerful forces you can awaken within yourself. When you give thanks, you align your conscious and subconscious mind with the infinite source. Gratitude is a vibration, a frequency that harmonizes you with the rhythm of abundance. It is the key that unlocks more, the magnet that draws blessings, the signal that says to the universe, I am ready, I am open, I am receptive. The grateful heart receives more to be grateful for, just as the man who sows seed in fertile soil reaps more harvest. Many people live with their eyes on what is missing. They say, I will be happy when I get this job, when I recover my health, when I find that person, when I have more money. They postpone their gratitude. They make Thanksgiving a condition of outer events. But true gratitude is not conditional. It is a spiritual attitude. It is thanksgiving for the invisible as well as the visible. It is praise for what is unfolding, even when it is not yet seen. It is saying, thank you, Father, that you are working now. Thank you that the answer is here now. Thank you that your blessings are flowing through me now. That kind of gratitude multiplies. It opens the floodgates of abundance. It turns the little into the much, the seed into the harvest, the drop into the ocean. I recall a woman who came to me in despair. She said, Dr. Murphy, I have nothing to be grateful for. My health is failing. My finances are low. My relationship's strained. What can I thank God for? I said to her, my dear, you are breathing. Begin there. Give thanks for the breath of life that flows through you. Give thanks for the sun that rises, for the ground beneath your feet, for the infinite presence that never leaves you. Do not wait for conditions to change before you give thanks. Give thanks now, and the conditions will change. She began a simple practice every morning. Before rising from bed, she said, thank you, God, for this new day. Thank you for health, wealth, love, and peace, now manifesting in my life. At first she it mechanically, but soon she felt the vibration of gratitude stirring in her heart. Within weeks, her outlook changed, her health improved, and opportunities of supply came to her. She discovered that gratitude had unlocked the flow of good. Gratitude is faith in action. It is the declaration that the prayer is already answered, the seed already growing, the harvest already assured. When you give thanks to what you cannot yet see, you are affirming the unseen reality. You are saying to your subconscious, this is mine now, and your subconscious, faithful servant that it is, accepts that command and works tirelessly to bring it into manifestation. Think of Jesus when he stood before the tomb of Lazarus. He did not pray with anxiety. He did not beg or plead. He simply lifted his eyes and said, Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me. Notice he gave thanks before the miracle appeared. He gave thanks as though the answer was already accomplished. And so it was. Gratitude preceded the demonstration. Gratitude unlocked the power. So it must be with you. Do not wait until the money is in your hand to give thanks. Give thanks now that God's supply is flowing. Do not wait until the healing is complete to rejoice. Rejoice now that God's life is restoring every cell. Do not wait until the door is open to celebrate. Celebrate now that infinite intelligence is guiding your steps. In this way, gratitude precedes manifestation, and manifestation follows gratitude. I once counseled a man who wanted to sell his home. For months he complained no one is interested. Nothing is happening. I cannot seem to find a buyer. I asked him, have you thanked God for the perfect buyer? He looked puzzled. I said, begin each day saying, thank you, Father, for the perfect person who desires this home and prospers by it. Thank you that this is already accomplished in divine order. He began the practice. Each morning he gave thanks, even when there was no outward sign. Within a short time, a buyer appeared, who not only purchased the house at a fair price, but became a lifelong friend. Gratitude was the magnet that drew the right person at the right time. My dear friend, ingratitude shuts the door. Complaining, doubting, resenting, these are signals to the subconscious that you expect more of the same lack. And the subconscious, impartial, multiplies what you impress upon it. If you complain about lack, you sow seeds of lack. If you resent others' success, you plant seeds of frustration. But when you give thanks for what you have and for what is coming, you sow seeds of abundance. And the subconscious multiplies them into overflowing good. Gratitude also heals the heart. It transforms bitterness into sweetness, worry into trust, tension into peace. The grateful mind cannot dwell on fear, for it is too busy rejoicing in the goodness of God. The grateful heart cannot be heavy, for it is lifted by praise. Gratitude is the song of the soul that knows its source and rejoices in it. Even in adversity, gratitude works miracles. I recall a man who faced financial ruin. He came to me heavy with fear. I said, in the face of this storm, give thanks, not for the difficulty itself, but for the infinite presence within you that knows the way out. Say, thank you, Father, that your wisdom guides me now. Thank you that new opportunities open for me now. Thank you that your supply is flowing to me now. He obeyed. Each day he gave thanks. Even when outward appearances seemed darker, soon a new idea dawned in his mind. A plan he had never considered. He acted upon it, and his fortunes were restored. Later he said it was gratitude that shifted my mind. It turned me from fear to faith. It opened me to God's wisdom. So practice gratitude in all things. Begin and end your day with thanksgiving. Write down the blessings you already enjoy and thank God for them. Give thanks in advance for the blessings on the way. When you eat, give thanks for the food. When you breathe, give thanks for the air. When you walk, give thanks for the strength in your body. Nothing is too small to be acknowledged with gratitude. Each act of thanksgiving adds to the current of abundance flowing in your life. And remember this, gratitude expands what it touches. Thank God for health, and your health expands. Thank God for supply, and your supply increases. Thank God for love, and love multiplies in your life. Gratitude is the law of increase in action. Too often, men and women imagine that God's blessings come in crumbs. They say, if only I can get a little relief, if only I can just get by, if only one door would open. But the infinite does not think in terms of just enough. The infinite is fullness itself. The sun does not shine in half measure. It pours its light in abundance upon the just and the unjust. The ocean does not give a cup of water. It stretches shoreless, fathomless, unending. God does not give you survival. He gives you life, and life more abundantly. The greater blessing is not coming someday. It is here now, waiting only for your recognition and acceptance. I recall a man who came to me praying for a modest raise at work. He said, if I can only get a few more dollars each week, I will be content. I told him, my dear friend, you are limiting the unlimited. Why ask for crumbs when the banquet is spread before you? Affirm not just a small raise, but infinite prosperity flowing through you. Do not confine God to one employer, one channel. Say, God's riches are mine now. I am prospered in countless ways. Opportunities open to me everywhere. He shifted his prayer, and within months, he was not only promoted, but offered a new position in another company, doubling his income and expanding his influence. He came to me saying, I asked for a small step, that God lifted me to a higher plane altogether. The greater blessing was already prepared. He simply had to expand his vision and accept it. You see, my friend, what you desire is often but a symbol of the deeper blessing God intends for you. You ask for money, but what you truly seek is freedom, security, ease, and creative expression. God answers not only with the money, but with opportunities, ideas, and new streams of good that free your life in every direction. You ask for healing of one ailment, but God gives you not only relief from that condition, but radiant vitality in every cell, peace of mind, and renewed joy. You ask for one relationship to be mended, but God floods your life with harmony, love, and companionship on every side. The greater blessing is always broader, deeper, richer than the specific form you outline. I once knew a woman who longed for companionship. She prayed, someday God will send me someone. But she kept the blessing in the future, always a little beyond reach. I told her, stop saying someday. Begin to give thanks now for the love of God flowing through your life. Affirm now that you are surrounded by loving people. Now that divine companionship is yours. Now that harmony fills your relationships. She began to do so, and as she shifted into the vibration of having, into the consciousness of now, love appeared in your life in the most natural and beautiful way. She realized that the greater blessing was not far off. It had been waiting for her recognition. You must train yourself to think in terms of abundance, not scarcity, in terms of now, not someday, in terms of the infinite, not the limited. The subconscious mind is the gateway through which the blessings of God flow into your life. It responds to the images, the affirmations, the feelings you impress upon it. If you impress lack, it multiplies lack. If you impress abundance, it multiplies abundance. Therefore, impress upon your subconscious this truth: God is releasing something greater than I asked for. It is here now. I accept it with joy. I rejoice in it now. That kind of inner acceptance opens the way for the greater blessing to appear in form. Do not be discouraged by appearances. Outwardly you may see lack, delay, resistance. But inwardly, in the unseen, the blessing is already yours. The harvest is already ripe, the river is already flowing, the door is already open. Think of the sun behind the clouds. The clouds may hide its rays, but the sun has never ceased to shine. So it is with the blessings of God. They may seem hidden by conditions, by circumstances, by appearances, but they are shining, streaming, flowing even now. When the clouds of doubt and fear dissolve, you'll see what has been present all along. The greater blessing is not created tomorrow. It is revealed today. Therefore, my beloved friend, walk in the joy of knowing that you are already blessed beyond measure. Give thanks for the abundance already present. Rejoice in the health already flowing through your being. Celebrate the love already surrounding you. Live as though it were already true, and you will see it made manifest. Gratitude, faith, and joyful expectation are the keys to accepting the greater blessing. So lift up your mind and declare with conviction, I know that God is releasing something bigger than what I asked for. I accept it now. I rejoice in it now. I give thanks for it now. Do this, and you will find that your life becomes a stream of miracles, a river of blessings, an unfolding story of God's infinite generosity. You will look back and say, truly, the blessing was always greater, always nearer, always here. I only needed to open my eyes, my heart, my faith, and accept it.